Welcome back to Write, Writer, Write. I'm your host, Deborah Froese. Are you waiting for the perfect conditions to start that new project or pick up an old one? Maybe you joined the MANUSCRIPT Momentum Challenge, which launched on November 1st, and now you're wondering how you'll keep that commitment. Don't worry, you'll adapt. In this episode, we'll find out how and why. Have you ever heard that quote from Les Brown? Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I love that line because it captures the importance of saying yes to what you really want and aiming high. Of course, aiming high means stepping into the unknown, and that's where the law of adaptation comes in. This law says you'll go farther by making a change or starting something new now than you will by waiting around trying to plan for every possibility. Many people get stuck waiting. I've been there, I've done that. But momentum grows from movement, not from planning. So let's take a trip back in time. About 65 years ago, no one had been to the moon. No one had even been beyond Earth's orbit. But in 1961, John F. Kennedy stood before the U.S. Congress and announced what sounded like pure science fiction. Before the decade was out, the U.S. would land a man on the moon and bring him safely back to Earth. But at that moment, not even NASA knew how to make it happen. Kennedy set this audacious goal before knowing the path, trusting that courage and creativity would fill in the blanks. The challenges were enormous. No one had built rockets powerful enough to travel beyond Earth's orbit. Guidance systems weren't yet precise enough to land on a target so far away. And spacesuits, light enough to move in and strong enough to survive the vacuum of space, simply didn't exist. And get this, the computers that would eventually guide the mission filled entire rooms, and they had less power than the phone you hold in your hand today. Still, NASA pressed on. Test rockets blew up almost as often as they flew. But with each explosion, engineers learned something new, and failure by failure, they built a path to the stars. Then, in 1969, 8 years later, Apollo 11 lifted off. Even though the astronauts had trained for years, they found themselves in unknown territory. They had to adapt to challenges that no one could have predicted because no one had been there before. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon manually, with just seconds of fuel left. Buzz Aldrin fixed a broken switch with a felt-tip pen. What made such a daunting mission possible? Adaptability. That's what got the rocket to the moon and brought the astronauts home. And honestly, adaptability will bring you home too. The law of adaptation says it's easier to adjust to a situation than it is to plan for one. So once you put yourself in a new situation, you're forced to adjust to whatever circumstances arise. You can't hide in your comfort zone. So you learn and adapt, and momentum builds. Writers, and humans in general, tend to wait for perfect conditions. We tell ourselves we'll start once we have more time, more focus, more money, or a clearer idea of what's ahead. But that stops us from ever starting. We can't plan for every possibility, so why waste time trying to? When you take that leap onto the page or into life, you'll discover that adaptability is your rocket fuel. Let's take a look at 5 lessons from the law of adaptation. Number 1, life won't wait for you to be ready. Human adaptability begins with movement. Conditions are never perfect, but your body and mind are built to adjust once you take that first step. So the sooner you start, the sooner you become ready. Number 2, action builds flexibility. You can't stretch if you're not moving. Every step you take gives you new information, something to adjust, refine, or reimagine. Adaptability comes from doing, noticing, and shifting as you go. Number 3, your brain is wired to rewire. Every time you face uncertainty, your brain forms new connections to help you handle it better the next time. That's neuroplasticity. The more times you step into the unknown, the more comfortable you get with it. The more you write, the more easily words flow. Number 4, discomfort catalyzes growth. Your body and brain interpret challenges as opportunities to evolve. Just like muscle strain during a good workout, creative discomfort means your capacity is expanding. If your writing feels awkward or uncertain, that's not failure. It's an opportunity to test and grow. Number 5, reflection leads to mastery. Adaptation happens as a response, but it solidifies through reflection. When you try new things, don't forget to pause and ask yourself, what did that teach me? That builds trust in yourself and your ability to handle whatever comes next. Don't wait for life to hand you perfect conditions. You don't need them. Start where you are. Adapt, grow, and build momentum. If you're part of the Manuscript Momentum Challenge, remember, this is your chance to stretch, grow, and discover how capable you really are when you stop waiting and start moving. So what's next? Wrestle with this question for a while. What situation in your writing or your life could you stop planning for and start adapting to today? Thanks for joining me today for Write, Writer, Write. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone else who tends to wait for perfect conditions. Until next time, remember you can adapt. Pick up your pen and write, writer, write.